All right, good morning. This is Sports for Real, and another fine morning here. Kind of cool outside. Um, Strange weather phenomenon we have down here in Florida. Yesterday, the weatherman said that there's going to be a 60 to 70 degree drop in the wind chill for the inline areas away from the coast down here in Florida. Now, yesterday it got up to like in the 70s. Woke up this morning, it was in the 30s. High 30s, but it was still not quite the 60 degrees they were talking about, but still kind of breezy there. Break, what's going on, man? Let me offer my condolences to you. Your Jets come down here and Jaguars put something on them, man. I do this thing. If you look in the collab tab that I have there, I go and talk to fans after the games locally here, and we posted and put it on this site called Fango Media. The new video that I shot yesterday probably won't be up until tomorrow sometimes, but you'd be interested to hear break what some of the Jets fans have to say about what they need to do to turn things around. My line of thinking was that it was a trap game because the Jaguars are going to have to play the Broncos this week, and then they're going to have a rematch with the Colts. Those two games are going to determine just what the Jaguars do in the AFC South. But some of the comments that they made, one thing they said, I don't think it's possible. They said that Woody Johnson needs to sell the team. And the other thing, half of them say Aaron Glenn is doing a decent job, but they need to just clean house with the Jets. What do you think about that, Break, being that this is your team? Um, and I give the Jets fans hell, the ones that did talk to me, most of them wouldn't talk to me. Um, I asked the guy if he had a Giant shirt underneath the Jets, because the line on the New York fans, if the Jets aren't winning, then maybe the Giants are. So the question I asked him, well, hell, when both teams are struggling, who do you root for? They just laugh. But it's an interesting question because just like I do, that you got guys that root for both teams there, and whoever's winning, that's who they are that particular year. So it's kind of funny in a lot of ways. But JC, what's going on, man? But I was surprised to see that Jacksonville was able to take down the Jets like that. Like I said, I thought it was a trap game because I would see them as looking forward to playing against the Broncos. But they're hitting on all cylinders right now, it appears to be. And it don't make no difference who they playing. And I think ever since they lost that big lead to the Texans, it kind of like galvanized them. So that's why I asked the question, do you think the Jaguars are a serious threat in the AFC? Well, if they play like that, or I put it this way, if Trevor Lawrence plays well, then the Jaguars will play well. They play up and down according to what he's doing. And I just got a guy here, Bill SCH. He says Broncos. So, Bill, you tell me, what is your prognosis for the game this weekend when Jacksonville comes to Denver? Now, before you say that, Jacksonville teams have come to Denver before and knocked you off. So it's not like you're going to be playing Florida State this week. The NFL team is coming up there, so you better be ready to play. Uh, he said, "No, who beat the Jets? We talking about the Broncos?" Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Break. I'm saying that the Jets didn't show up. I thought they would play better yesterday with the Jaguars, and they did not. But Bill says it's going to be a great game. I'd be interested to see because this is going to be kind of a preview of what the AFC playoffs are going to go like. Even if Jacksonville does not win the game, they're going to get in the playoffs because the teams on the bottom seem to be fading even farther. You see that the Chiefs, they've been officially eliminated, and wouldn't have made no difference had they won the game when they lost Patrick Mahomes. That was going to be the end of it anyway. So just as well that it coincides with the team being eliminated from the playoffs and his injury, so he can go on and rehab and come on back for next year. And then the Ravens, they won yesterday. They further put the Bengals out of competition. And really it's going to come down to the Ravens, Colts, and however the race shakes out. But speaking of that, you know, Daniel says Houston's a bigger threat. Well, that's what I'm hearing. A lot of the experts think that Houston is the better team in the South. But I don't think just because they won in a couple of games, just don't see Houston as they don't match up very well with the Jaguars. Yeah, they came back and stole that game when they were down 19. And just like Jacksonville, they've been playing well ever since then. But the way that the schedule worked, they've already played Jacksonville twice. Jacksonville has to play the Colts one more time, and that's going to be a critical matchup. Now, before they signed Phillip Rivers, it was going to be just like it was last week when they beat the Colts. But now with Phillip Rivers, it's I understand that break. A lot of people saying the same thing. They don't take the Jags serious only because they beat the Jets. But they said the same thing. They only beat the Colts. Every time they win a game, it's only this team or only that team. Well, again, these are NFL teams they've beaten, so you got to give them their credit. But back to Phillip Rivers. The Colts were dead when they lost Daniel Jones, but signing Rivers gives them a shot in the arm. Not because he's a veteran quarterback and what he did in the past and all that, but he's still dangerous enough. If the Colts are able to run the football, he can play action and hit those wide open passes. Yesterday, that's kind of what they did. They basically just ran the ball. He did drop back 27 times, hit 18 of them. Didn't have a whole lot of yards, but you can't really expect the guy to just walk in off the street and light you up for 300. But I will say this, I expect him to play better this week than he did this last game. And then the week after that, they get a rematch with the Jaguars. If the Colts are able to run the ball, they can beat Jacksonville. And if they do, that's going to shake up the AFC West, the AFC South, because right now Jacksonville has that one game lead over Houston. And the Colts are nipping on their heels by losing that game yesterday. Now they're 2 games back. But Jacksonville could have sealed all this up already had they held on to that lead against Houston. They already be up by 2 with a 2-game lead over Houston, and it wouldn't be any problem. But because of that, they have to play the game now all the way to the end. And it's probably a good thing for them. But yeah, the Jags did beat the Jets, and a lot of people aren't taking them serious. But we're going to find out about the Jags this week. And we're going to find out a little bit more about the Broncos because their offense isn't like setting off any 3 alarm fires or anything. They can get hot just like anybody else at any time, but they can't depend on getting hot in the fourth quarter and coming back and steal games. That's not gonna be a good formula for success. So they're gonna have to tighten up. All right, the Chargers, Bills, Texans. The Patriots lost yesterday. And with that, I think they lost a bit of that confidence because they had a big lead on Buffalo and they couldn't hold it. And they ended up getting knocked off. Very, very big win for Buffalo. But there's still a game back in the standings. And I don't think they're going to catch New England because the Bills' schedule, I haven't seen the last 3 opponents, but it's got to be tougher than New England only because the way they finished last year. New England finished in the cellar. And because of that, they got a 4th-place schedule. A 3rd-place schedule. I think they finished just above the Jets, so that put them in 3rd place last year. And I'd rather play a 3rd-place schedule down the stretch than the 1st place that the Bills would have. Patriots, Broncos, it's possible, but I don't think either one of them are going to make the Super Bowl. It's going to come down to one of these upstart teams. Not a Jaguar fan, but shit, all they need is a break here and there. They can find themselves in the Super Bowl, just like any other team. But my Steelers, we're going to see what they do tonight. They got to stay ahead of Baltimore. And the next game is with the Dolphins is a conference game. They're going to play the Ravens again. That's a conference game. Pittsburgh's problem over the years has always been that they can't win the tiebreakers in the conference. They lose too many conference games. And that was going to be Kansas City's problem if they were able to get back into the race. But normally that's Pittsburgh's problem. But now I see Baltimore is grappling with the same thing. And I saw a little snippet yesterday about Tomlin taking a shot at Harbaugh. Evidently, Harbaugh is still crying about a call they didn't get when they played the Steelers a week ago. And he's still making comments about it. So Tomlin say, well, that game's over with. You can cry all you want, but it's not going to change the outcome. And I agree. But that's just more fuel to the fire for when these teams meet up again on the last week of the season. But Pittsburgh's going to have to maintain the fact that they had that one game lead. I don't trust the tiebreaker system, and it never works out in Pittsburgh's favor. So it would be to their advantage to keep on winning. Now they can beat the Dolphins, and if they beat the Dolphins, that would pretty much eliminate them, and that would make it even better for teams like the Colts to sneak in. But if they're going to get in, it's going to be up to Rivers to play a little bit better than he did. But surprised by his performance yesterday? No. He had an interception. He had a pick. He missed some throws because of timing, which I knew the timing was going to be off. And once he get the timing down a little bit better, that critical game in 2 weeks against the Jaguars, if they somehow get past that and the Colts get into the playoffs, yeah, Jonathan Taylor running their football, the Colts can be a dangerous team coming through that AFC if they get into the playoffs. But it looks like only one team is going to come out of the North. It's either Pittsburgh or Baltimore. And then you're going to have New England and Buffalo get in there. Jacksonville and Houston probably going to be there. So it's that 2, 4, 5. And then you have, who am I missing? 2 from the North, Buffalo and Miami from the East. That's 4. Houston and Jacksonville from the South. And one team from the West, which is probably going to be, no, I take that back. The Chargers and the Broncos. So it's up to grab for that last spot. I'm not quite sure who's going to get there, but it'd be pretty interesting to see how it goes. Titans taking the bowl this year. Yeah, okay. They're taking the bowl, all right, the toilet bowl. And maybe you could paint it up light blue and dark blue, or put a streak of red on there to remind you of the Oilers. But other than that, that's about all the Titans are going to do. Yes, Sauce Gardner was out yesterday, but they played pretty well. The eyes were on Phillip Rivers and what he was going to do. A lot of people, they still laughing about it now. They think it's a joke, and they didn't think that he didn't play very well, and the bad throws he was making, they find that hilarious. Well, until you realize that once you sit out of a game for that long, it takes a long time to get your timing down. So the thing about him is quarterbacks, they never stop throwing. He got all those kids, he's out in the backyard throwing the ball around. So it's not like he has to relearn how to throw the ball. His biggest problem, I thought, was going to be the timing of throwing the football. And you saw some of that yesterday with the Russ. But as he gets more and more time in with practice and putting the game plans together, this guy's going to throw the ball that much better. And the coach can run the football. They need him to play action pass and hit these wide open receivers. He can do that. And when his timing increases, you're going to see this guy play better and better. And if the coach somehow sneak into the playoffs, then that's when that history of him playing comes into play. But right now, he's just getting the kinks out. Okay, let's see. Coach created for Sauce Gardner playing the game like yesterday. Well, I mean, that's what happens when you play the game, you get hurt. Cam got potential, the Titans don't. Well, you're going to rebuild your team anyway. They didn't really know, or nobody really knows what you have when you draft a guy. It all depends on what you see once they get out there. So you're going to put the pieces around him to make them better. The Titans, they're going to have some good draft choices to make, and they're going to come around slowly. Just like New England, they're going to put it together slowly. They'll be back. But the beauty of it all is not like it's college or high school where coaches do things that are against the rules that make you become a better team seemingly overnight. I hate to say it, but that's what's going on in high school. These guys are recruiting, and they're supposed to be doing that. And you can go from worst to first just like that. But in the NFL, there's a procedure to it. And you might get me now, but the tables are eventually going to turn on you, and I'm going to rise. So my line of thinking is this: if you won a championship before, you're going to win it again. It's just a matter of when you're going to do it. Look at the Chiefs. It took them 50 years between championships before they got back, but they did it. And the Eagles, when they first won the Super Bowl with Doug Peterson, the first time, They hadn't won a championship since 1960, and that was with Norm Van Brocklin. So if you won a championship, it's going to happen again, man. So you just got to roll with your team. Don't give up on them. And if you do switch out, you can't come back because you gave up on your team. The Cowboys, much as I don't like them, eventually they're going to win a championship. It's just no time soon. They got knocked off last night by Minnesota. They can't even stop J.J. McCarthy. That tell you how bad that defense is. McCarthy's getting slightly better, but he's still on the warm side of terrible, in my opinion. But he'll get there if he keeps playing. If you keep playing him, keep throwing him out there, he'll learn or get killed in the process. So we'll see. But the other thing I want to talk about real quick was D Nice said, go ahead. I go D Nice. He Minnesota to the core. I give you credit for that, D Nice. But those Timberwolves, they're gonna have to sit down again. I see not Anthony Edwards, but Steph Curry was wearing Edwards sneakers the other day. I thought that was a good tribute to him, but Timberwolves, they don't have it, man. They just don't have it. Cowboys got beat down. Well, they can't stop the run. If you can't stop the run, it opens everything else up. And I know the Cowboys, I expected them to score about 28, 29 points a game this year with what they had. The question is, could they stop anybody? And as you can see, they didn't stop anybody. But I will tell you this. I think that Jerry Jones is smiling somewhere because if you don't know, Michael Parsons, he went out yesterday with a knee injury. Going to have an MRI on it today to find out just how messed up he is. But, in Jerry Jones' dark heart, he's probably excited about the fact that he thinks he made the right move by getting rid of Parsons because he is a guy getting hurt. And we got these guys out of the Jets that playing pretty good football. And unfortunately, he can't make all the tackles and they can't win like that. So that's his problem. Wolves win. Yeah, they win. All right. They want a place in your heart, D Nice. You guys got a problem when it comes to playing championship basketball. I'll be glad when it's playoff time because, you play a parlay on the NBA. I'm starting to see a trend. It's been going on for a couple months now. You see a guy come out and he scored 15, 20 points in the first half. In the second half, he goes solid. It's like pull him out of the game or something, or I don't know what the hell's going on. But, with this gambling probe with Chauncey Billups and all that, he got legs to it, from my opinion, when you start seeing players. And it's not just once in a while. It's happening consistently where you got a guy that's dominating the first half. In the second half, all of a sudden, he don't have any stats or he don't play. If you're trying to win, why would you pull a hot guy out of the game like that? It just does not make any damn sense. And that makes me think that these league owners and teams are in bed with the gambling organization, and that needs to be investigated. Because you can't tell me if you're supposed to be trying to win, why would you pull the hottest player out of the game at halftime? It doesn't make sense to me. But that's basketball. That's why I tell you guys, basketball is just something to do until football comes back around. And it's like that. It'll always be like that. All right, John Jones is the greatest UFC fighter of all time. I heard that. But I never really got into the UFC. One thing that puzzled me, these guys are all trained martial artists for the most part, and they be getting hit with stuff that they should never get hit by. So that lets you know that when you get into a street fight with a guy and he's trained, you don't stand a chance. But, I see a lot of people running their mouth. They're going to do this and they're going to do that, and you never know who you're running up against. And I've seen some people get knocked out real quick. So it's kind of funny to me, but I just don't understand why these guys, these black belts, getting hit with some of the shots they get hit with. Now I can understand late in the fight when you're down and your defenses aren't quite there, but early in the fight, you get hit with some of that stuff I see. I don't understand. The NBA is not the same as back in the 80s. No, it's not. These guys only care about the money, man. And feel like to me, some of them got some side income. Throwing these games or not scoring, faking injuries coming out of the game. There's a lot of fingers you can point. I'm not that big of a parlay player, but when I do play the parlays, I notice things, and it don't look good from my vantage point. And if it's just me, then that's one thing. But some of the people I talk to, they noticing the same things. So is it worth it to put your money on such such games? The NBA is no good. At least in the playoffs, you know that these guys are going to play. Ain't going to be no sitting out and pulling them out of the game because these guys are supposedly trying to win. But I question even they give a damn about that. So my question today, are the Jaguars a serious threat in the AFC? We're running close to 50-50 here. And I think most teams in the AFC, anybody can win that tournament. And the NFC is turning into the same way because Philadelphia, I don't know, they're going to make the playoffs, but can they get hot enough to go on another run? I'm starting to think not. I think this might be a year for the Rams, the way that they're playing. And Philadelphia, they're going to have to tighten up and find some offense. Otherwise, they're not going to last very long. Now, one other thing I want to talk about, again, was this guy, Sharon Moore. New information come out on his situation. That's the fired coach from Michigan who got fired for having an inappropriate relationship. Well, the strange thing that's coming out now is that he had been in a relationship evidently with this woman for years. And now they're saying that damn wife knew about it. Now, I've heard of open relationships, and some wives just allow their husbands to do whatever and they don't care. And as long as he's taking care of the family and they got an agreement, could be an open relationship. We don't know that, but evidently it's coming out that looks like she knew about the relationship, so there wasn't no sweat on that particular position. But to me, he sucked it out when the relationship was over with. Um, I guess he fell in love with her or whatever. And once the relationship was over with, he calling and trying to get some clarity on the situation. Evidently, she wouldn't take his call. So after being fired, that's when he got wind that she went down there on him. So the story I get now is that the athletic director got to him and said, look here, man, we know something's going on, but you need to straighten this out. You either need to fire this person or you need to move him to another department. Well, he decided to fire the woman. So in response to that, she went down to the administration's office, athletic department, and turned him in. So that's why he got fired. So in response, now he's hot. He going to see her, trying to get in contact with her. She wouldn't answer his call, so he paid her a visit. He walks in the house, and then that's where the confrontation came into play. So he got hit with the stalking. That's due to all the phone calls and all of that. And then the charge itself, confronting her and going in the house without permission and all of that. Now you come up with the BS breaking and entering and all of that. And now he's all jammed up. But the big thing about it, I thought his wife was going to be distraught and all of that. She may be distraught, but the big thing about that is that it appears that she knew about it. And most of the time they do know about it. They might not have complete confirmation about what's going on, but there are some relationships out there that are open. And where it might be a surprise to everybody else, it's not a surprise to her. Embarrassing because now the world knows about it, but surprising, no. So I don't know how this is going to work out. I do think he's going to find a way to get some of his money back because the strange thing about it, if you're doing wrong and it's worthy of you being fired, then the person that's doing wrong also, the person that's doing wrong with you should also be fired. Well, she keeps her job, but he loses his. So, some savvy lawyer, he's going to they're going to find a way to get some get back on that. So you fired him with cause, and what that means, all that money he was supposed to get, the buyout clause and all that, that goes away. So I think because of the fact that they allow her to keep her job, that opens it up for him to get some kind of get back in the situation. And that's going to be good for him because he's going to need it. And all those other reports about him trying to get out their OnlyFans stars and things like that. Yeah, she said, no, that's not the case. They were friends and all of that, but nothing of the sort of what's been reported. So he's not going to get buried on that situation. But it's not a good situation overall for him, and it's going to take him a while to untangle this. Will he end up going to jail? No, I don't think so. But he's going to spend an awful lot of money, and some miracle of God, he stays married to this woman. Then that'll save him there. But if he ends up getting divorced, he's going to get taken all the way to the cleaner. So he suckered all the way out when he went to that woman's house. Once it's over, it's over. Don't even go nowhere near her. And if you have to get in contact with her, let somebody else call her. You don't do it. And I guess he learned the hard way on that. But Michigan, they hadn't named any coaches yet. They got an interim coach from the staff to coach the bowl game. But as far as the permanent, they hadn't said anything about that. But you got a couple coaches still out there. I got a feeling that Brian Kelly is going to end up with that job because he got his situation straightened out with LSU. So they agreed that what we knew all along, they were going to have to pay him. So now that they're going to have to pay him, if it was me, I'd just sit out and I collect all my money from LSU because you put me through this. But if he takes another job, then that's going to reduce the buyout, and he's not going to get nearly as much. Nowhere near as much as he would get if he didn't coach. But Kelly's 64? He can sit down if he want to. But these coaches are driven by the fact that they can't go out like that. So because of that, I think Kelly's going to go out to that Michigan job. And for the most part, it'd be a good fit. You're a better fit there than it would be at LSU. He is a good coach. He's won a lot of games. And he can win at Michigan. The question is, could he beat Ohio State? And that is the big question for any coach that gets that Michigan job. And they can beat Ohio State. They don't even see Ohio State. It's just that in that particular rivalry, they are so wrapped up in beating the other team that they get too tight once they get into a losing streak, and it's hard to overcome. And if they just relax and play the damn game, then it won't be no long losing streaks like what we've seen the last couple of years with Ohio State, and before that, Michigan couldn't beat them. And if Michigan mess around and lose the next game, there's going to be another long losing streak because they just put too much into that game. And if they just relax and just play the game, which is what Ohio State did this year, then you'll see that those streaks won't last as long. But I will leave you with this. Alabama and Oklahoma opened up the college playoffs on Friday with the winner getting Indiana. Now, historically, I don't know if you guys know it or wherever you are, but these SEC fans think that anybody outside the SEC can't play with the SEC, and they can have the best record of all they want. But if they ain't beating anybody in the SEC, then they ain't played nobody. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be a classic mistake if the winner of this game Friday night think they're going to go to the Rose Bowl to play Indiana, just going to show up and win the game because they're from the SEC. They got another thing coming because Indiana's a good football team. They don't turn the ball over a whole bunch of times, it's going to be a problem. And Ohio State found out just that. And the Heisman Trophy, the guy deserves to win the trophy and all, but we're putting that trophy away, and we'll worry about that later. They got unfinished business to do. And they want to prove to everybody that they are a good football team. They're different from when they played Notre Dame last year. And whoever wins that game Friday night, they got a problem to deal with when they go to the Rose Bowl. So keep an eye on all of that. But anyway, the horn's going off. Got to go to work, man. I appreciate you guys chiming in with me. The Jaguars looking pretty good. But I still think Phillip Rivers signing with the Colts is a more serious threat to them than most people realize. And they're going to have to prove that they are the best team in the South when they play the Colts next week. But this week, they got the Broncos, and all their focus is going to be on the Broncos. Now, they go in there and whip Denver on the road. They're going to expect to go into the Colts and do the same thing, and that might not be the case. So it'll be interesting. So anyway, I got to get up out of here, man. You guys have a great day, and until next time, I'll holler at you guys on the flip side. And this has been Sports for Real. And keep an eye on them Steelers tonight, man, because we're trying to stamp our tickets to the playoffs, man. And we're going to do it by skinning some dolphins. So go by a shop in Pittsburgh and get you some dolphin meat, and you can put it on the grill, and we can go from there. So you guys have a great day wherever you are in this world. I'm out.